Welcome back to the Evergreen Marketing Era for Women Entrepreneurs podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Singletary, podcast strategist for women in business who want to build an evergreen marketing and sales system through podcasting. Okay, today your girl is getting spicy. I'm calling out many of the podcast launch courses out there and breaking down why they set business owners up to fail. I've worked with over 60 business owners in starting and optimizing a podcast to grow their business. I've had business owners come to me even after buying a podcast launch course to get my support with starting a podcast. And most of those who come to work with me all say the same thing. Is podcasting right for me, or am I bad at podcasting? Why? Because they aren't seeing any results from their podcast. Sure, they're publishing episodes, they have the tech figured out, and some even see high downloads and hit the charts, but it's not leading to the ROI they want, which is having listeners opt into their lead magnet, inquire about their services, apply to work with them, and join their offers. They're not seeing any of that, so they think podcasting isn't right for them. The problem is that a lot of these podcast launch courses they used to start their podcast wasn't geared towards business owners. Most podcast launch courses focus on how to start a podcast. So what equipment to use, the best platforms for editing and recording, and some may even share how to grow your podcast audience. But that's where the support stops. While both are important, business owners need more. Many of these courses don't teach you why you should have your face on your cover art or why choosing, a cute and catchy name that doesn't connect to what it is that you do will keep your podcast hidden. They also don't show you what to do after you launch the podcast. And this is where many business owners lose momentum with their podcast. It's why 90% of podcasts fail after publishing 3 episodes. They don't show you how to create a strategy for your podcast that supports your goals, how to position your offers in your episodes, what type of content to create to attract new listeners versus what content nurtures and converts your listeners into a specific offer. So it's not enough to just get your podcast out into the world because starting a podcast doesn't guarantee that the right listeners will find it, join your email list, or inquire about working with you. You need the strategy to attract the right listeners and move them to take action on your offers so that they become leads and paying clients instead of just growing a fan base that loves listening to your content. You are a business owner first and a podcast host second. You aren't creating this podcast as a fun and creative outlet. You aren't just here to talk about any random old thing. You're leveraging the platform as a marketing and sales channel, meaning the strategies that influencer or hobby podcasters use don't apply to you. So why would you use a launch course geared towards them to teach you how to start a podcast for your business? You wouldn't go to a social media influencer to teach you how to leverage Instagram or TikTok for your business. So why would you do that with your podcast? And this is the exact reason why I decided to launch Podcast Like a Business Owner. I want to set business owners up for success with their podcasts. I'm not talking vanity metrics and only getting reviews and messages about how amazing your podcast is. I'm talking about having the right people discover your podcast, go on a binging spree, and take the next steps to work with you. So let's talk about what makes Podcast Like a Business Owner different from these other podcast launch courses out there. While you do learn the tech, what equipment you need, and audience growth strategies, you also learn what type of content to create that will attract your highest quality leads, nurture them, and convert them into your offers. I walk you through how to name your podcast so that your ideal listeners find it with ease. You learn how to design your podcast cover art so that it stands out to potential listeners. And I also provide you with cover art templates that you can use. I walk you through my 3-episode launch formula that positions you as an expert in your niche and builds your authority from the very beginning. You learn how to incorporate your call to actions, what type of call to action you should incorporate in your launch episodes, and how to position your offers in future episodes. I walk you through my formula for naming podcast episodes so the right people find and listen to your episodes. There's also a module on what happens after you launch your podcast because I don't want you to lose momentum after you launch. I don't want you to be part of that 90% that doesn't make it past episode 3. That's the difference between a podcast launch course built for influencers and one built for business owners. I give you the strategy. I help you to set it up the right way. I'm not just showing you the how. I'm setting you up to leverage the platform as a marketing and sales asset and stick with it. I provide you with resources and templates that you can continue to use after you launch your podcast. The key to sticking with your podcast as a business owner is to set it up to support your business growth from the start, but also doing it in a way that fits your current season of life. So in module 1 of the course, we're really going to walk through why you're creating this podcast, but also help you decide how you should set your podcast up. So should you do a weekly podcast, or should you do bi-weekly, or should you do seasonal? And so I'm going to support you inside the course with figuring it out because as a business owner, you don't need to do weekly episodes to leverage podcasting for your business. A podcast is evergreen content. And so I show you how to create quality content that people can find weeks, months, even years after you've published it. So this is what I help you do inside a podcast like a business owner. Like I said, the waitlist is open, but the course will be live soon. Join the waitlist to grab the course as soon as it's available and get access to exclusive bonuses. Head on over to momatermompreneur.com/waitlist to get on the waitlist. If you know adding a podcast to your business is the next step for you and you want to launch it the right way, like a business owner, then get on the waitlist now so you can grab the course. All right, that's it for this one. I'll catch you in the next episode.